Salutations everybody! Dreamforge here with another build guide for Battle Brothers. Today I just thought, you know what, we have so many Battleforge builds on this channel already. We don't really have that many nimble builds, and even though the nimble builds we have, they are kind of focused for range or very specific things like the rogue, for example. So I decided to make a build guide for the Swashbuckler, which is a nimble fighter who can just be good by himself. He doesn't need like any setup. They can become very powerful in certain situations, especially against ancient undead. Like I saw this bro one-shotting with a one-handed mace ancient undead like legionnaires and stuff in Black Monolith. This bro is very potent, but I get ahead of myself, sorry. How do you level him? As for a lot of other builds, you can decide if you want to level him in melee or in the backline. This is not like your super rare bro that you never will find ever again, but he's kind of high quality, you know. This is a good rolled rat catcher or a thief, or maybe even a barbarian, maybe an assassin. Of course, don't want him to die. So if he's in the backline, you of course take student because you can get away with it. 20% more experience makes absolutely sense. And if not, you can just take Colossus. After that, I always take gifted to just boost up his stats. And then afterwards, I would instantly take dodge. This is a build that will shine in using initiative as a defensive mechanism. You get 15% of your initiative on top of your defenses, which make this build pretty good. It will dodge a lot of attacks and not get hit as much. So this is something I'll take kind of early. This is a very big power spike, a very strong defensive perk. What I then would take is actually Relentless. Relentless makes sure that you will attack first. Because if you use a character, you use your fatigue and stuff, your initiative will get lower and lower. And yeah, this is something we don't want. And this makes sure that you act first. So you can inflict a lot of damage, maybe even kill your target and then move on. You don't want to spend time in combat getting hit. You will dodge a lot of attacks, but what nimble characters always have a problem is getting unlucky. 2 unlucky headshots with pikes in your face will end your life very, very fast. You want to attack first or as fast as possible, and high initiative plus relentless will just make this sure. And on this build we really want to have this. And then afterwards I take nimble. This is a very strong defensive perk. You see he has nimble gear, right? And then we take a lot of damage. We take duelist because this character will only have one-handed weapons, and this will just slap even stronger. Then we take berserk, we take killing frenzy, right? Like all those juicy perks. And then it's a little bit up to you. So the first thing we have to make sure now that you pick the right weapon mastery. You want to have a weapon mastery depending on the weapon. I gave you now 2 examples how he could look later on. You just basically pick the one famed weapon you find. If it's a one-handed axe, you take that. If it's a one-handed mace, I would prefer maces, but you don't have to take that. Let's say you find a very cool one-handed mace. Then I would just take mace mastery. You really want to have this because if you swing so often, this is of course very fatigue heavy, and this will just reduce that cost by 25%. The bonus with maces obviously is that you can sometimes stun. You know, you don't want to do this. You just want to, you know, destroy things as best as you can. You have the option with that. I mean, if you find a very great hammer, you can take hammer mastery. There's nothing wrong with that. You just take the one famed weapon you like. I would not take swords, if I'm honest, because they don't really slap as hard as other things. If you think about the old god sword, I have a different guide for that, like the man at arms. He's more specialized in that. I wouldn't take a swashbuckler with this sword. So I would either take an axe, a hammer, or mace. And now it's a little bit up to you, right? I don't take underdog because that bro shouldn't be fighting against multiple enemies. So therefore this is not really that important. You should kill your target very, very fast anyways. I would love to take this, if I'm honest. Let's say he has mace mastery, right? I would take this. You can move better, especially in bad terrain. But if you just think, you know, I don't really need this, I stun out a lot because I kill a lot, then you can take recover. It's either way. If you take this bro to like the end game, and I'm talking a little bit about how crazy he will be later on, I would probably take this in the fight against the Black Monolith, for example, right? The Swashbuckler with a mace and this. Those juicy mushrooms you get sometimes from killing orcs or orc berserkers. Like, if you combine this, I saw this dude literally one shot with a one-handed weapon with this thing, Ancient Undead, in the Black Monolith fight. Don't underestimate this bro, he maybe has a weird name. But I can tell you, they slap very hard with those mushrooms. You know, if they have Killing Frenzy up and they have those mushrooms, they ignore a lot, they just do a lot of HP damage because they just ignore a lot. Right? I mean, it's 40% from the weapon and plus 25 from this. Ancient Undead don't really have that much HP, and with all the buffs, you can literally one-shot them. So he can become an absolute killing machine in those fights, so he's very good there. Gear-wise, I kind of talked a little bit about it earlier. Front line, back line, pike, back line, front line, just a sword. You want to hit stuff, right? Later on, this is just very good nimble gear, right? This is assassin's gear. This is the best nimble helmet you can buy for money. And then you always want to have some sort of trophy, obviously. And then it's a little bit up to you what you find, what you want to use. If I never find any famed weapon, I would probably take those. I think this is the strongest one-handed weapon you can take for this bro, in my opinion. Yeah, a dagger just for daggering down. I just take this, you know, as utility. I mean, there's nothing else. You can just take nothing if you want. But having a smoke pot, sometimes you can throw this thing to save a life of a bro. Maybe even your own life, who knows? I mean, you don't have quick hands, so it's kind of clunky to use, but sometimes a smoke pot is all you need, right? But you can take here whatever you want. You can even take a net if you really want, but this is not his focus. His focus is killing. This is a pure damage dealer, basically. Attributes. You want to have somebody who has high initiative in the first place. So you don't want to take just a Daytaler and just, you know, think, you know, he's fine. Yeah, and you want to have a red catcher. You want to have a thief. You want to have high initiative. Let's say 115, 120 plus. And preferably with some stars. You don't have to put every point in every round into this. But you want to aim for, let's say, 140-ish. The more you have, the better dodge will be. You want to prioritize this a little bit, as every melee baiting you want to hit, so melee attack is very, very important. Melee defense is very, very important. If he has very high melee defense later on, let's say he has like 35 or something, a thief can easily do that with a couple of stars. And then he has high initiative, he really has later on like 50, 55 melee defense. So they are very hard to hit. You want to have a little bit of HP on top of that. And you don't really want to level resolve. You should have at least some resolve, let's say 40, 35 in the beginning, with a necklace and maybe even going to the arena, this bonus you get there. You should be around 50. Maybe you play cultist, you get plus 12 converting this bro and then being a cultist with like 2 candles. But you of course want to aim for 45, 50 without the buff of the banner. Don't really want to level this. You want to put points every level into melee defense, every level into melee attack, and a couple of levels into initiative, obviously, and then the rest should go into HP. I really like this build. I don't use it that often. I don't know why. Maybe I should. Right now I almost have like only like Vanguards, you know, a lot of Battleforge bros, but this build is absolutely viable. And I think if you have a lot of those, you can actually replace all your Battleforge bros if you want and use those. They should be doing absolutely fine. Right, thanks for watching. I hope everybody enjoys this build and I see you in the next video. Have a good one.